Aubrey, and welcome back to Stars and Bars, where we analyze your favorite artists' astrological charts and interpret how astrology plays out in their music, lyrics, and career. If you're new here and that sounds interesting to you, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video, and let me know in the comments who you want to learn about next. Our subject today is one of my absolute favorite artists, and someone I've been really excited to cover ever since I started this channel. If you're not familiar with her, then I definitely recommend checking her out, especially if you are into melodic hip-hop, R&B, or really just badass, soulful women with amazing, powerful singing voices. As of the time of recording, this artist has blessed us with a golden catalog filled with skill and variety, but she is still an independent artist. And truly, independent describes more than just her career, for sure. She is a powerhouse of self-assuredness, confidence, spirituality, musical genius, and girl power. Her creativity and persona are hugely independent, and her vibe is so contagious. I really cannot wait to see her blow up, and I cannot wait to talk to you today about Dounia. Here is Dounia's chart. Dounia Tazi was born on March 31st of 1997 in Queens, New York. And we do not know what time yet. At one point, she did post on her Instagram that Kaylani, a friend and collaborator, who we do have a video on, so I'll put the link in the description and up here in the cards. But Kaylani ran Dounia's chart, apparently, at one point, and Dounia posted the results as Aries Sun, Capricorn Moon, Leo Rising. But since then, I and other fans have tried to get the birth time from her to confirm that, and she hasn't had it or hasn't given it to us, which is fine. But that does mean I'm not quite confident in that source. I'm not sure if Kaylani had the birth time when she pulled that up. And I don't want to tell you anything that's not true or that I can't confirm. But if we do ever get a birth time from Dounia or a confirmation on her rising sign, then I probably will remake this video with that updated information. Anyways, that makes Dounia an Aries Sun, Capricorn Moon, like me actually. And her Mercury and Venus join her Sun in Aries, while her Mars is in Virgo. As far as we can tell, she doesn't have any planets in water, but because we don't have a birth time, we don't know for sure about the angles, so she might. Her dominant planet seems to be Saturn, her dominant sign Aries, and her dominant element fire, but again, these things could also change based on the birth time. So before we get started, I want to go ahead and familiarize you with Dounia's discography so you know what we're talking about when I reference albums. If you already know Dounia's discography pretty well, or you don't care about this part, then you can skip to the time on the screen right now to get past it. So Dounia's first project is called Intro 2, and it's from 2017. This is her debut EP. And the themes on this album are confidence and self-assuredness, truly surmounting evidence of her Aries placements right from the start. Another theme that shows up on this album that doesn't show up quite as much on other projects is failed romance, and this mostly stems from Dounia's love interests or interests, showing that they're not really worthy of her affection and love with their inconsiderate behavior. So we see lots of Aries on this album with the confidence, the independence, and the demanding of respect. And sonically on this album, we've got lots of chill or upbeat energy. It's mostly pretty relaxed with some bars. It's not as sensual as a lot of Dounia's other music is. And Dounia also does this singing, rapping, hybrid thing that she carries on throughout her discography, but we really get a good taste of it on this album because it's not as slow and sensual as some of her other works are. The next project that Dounia released was in 2018, and it is called the Avant Garden, and it is another EP. Dounia's infectious confidence definitely carries over to this album, but I would say it also kind of evolves from what on Intro 2 seems kind of like a situational thing, whereas on the Avant Garden it feels more like an unshakable force. There's really little to no sign of Dounia turning down her big, powerful personality authority or bossing down for a love interest. She's just going to move on if they're not treating her properly with the respect that she deserves. And so this is big Aries energy. Like we discussed before, independence is such a big part of the Aries MO. Now, the sound on this album is more developed. There are some similar, more like chill bars songs, but a lot of it is more sensual and moodier and even sexy and sophisticated on some tracks. We also see a little bit more dreaminess, so we really see Dounia branch out more sonically. We also start to see her really flex her multilingual muscle. On one of the songs on this album, she speaks 3 languages. Moving forward, we've got Dounia's debut studio album, The Scandal, from 2019. Dounia continues the evolution of her confidence on this album. She's starting to really get a taste of success without a shadow of a doubt that she is that bitch. So she won't put up with emotionally inept or insecure suitors, and her braggadocio also levels up. She does more flexing on this, kind of takes on more of a rapper persona while still being very sensitive. And this sensitivity but flexing confidence dichotomy within Dounia is a huge part of her music and a huge part of what makes her who she is. I feel like in addition to the regular Aries stuff that we've mentioned on every album so far, we see a lot of Dounia's Virgo Moon conjunct North Node. We'll talk about this more, but Mars rules energy output, among other things, and the North Node tells us sort of a person's life purpose, so we really see her moving in the right direction to actualize her best self on this album, I feel. Sonically, we have more speedy bars than usual on this album and more wordplay, and it's also more dark, moody, and mysterious than her previous works. And then so far in 2020, Dounia has released 2 EPs. One is called Popping in the Abyss, and the other is called Natural Chaotic. I'm talking about both of these at the same time for brevity, but also because I find them similar, and I feel like Dounia, because they were released in the same year, I feel like Dounia released these from a similar place in her life. These are Dounia's most slow, deep, and pain-infused works yet, which is definitely a 2020 mood. But really, on these albums, Dounia really shows us her shadow work, and she shows us the process of letting failing love go, which is a really important and interesting perspective coming from someone who often seems just unshakably and unbreakably independent. Even the small doses of optimism on these pieces have a deep and mysterious and moody flavor to them. And I really think that these show her Capricorn Moon more than anything else, with her melancholy, emotional turmoil, and having to be disciplined in order to become your best self. There are also lots of singles that Dounia has released that aren't on bigger projects as well. So first of all, let's have a big Aries conversation. Dounia has the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and also Saturn all in Aries. Aries is a passionate, confident, independent fire sign, and the Aries archetype is known for a natural sense of leadership. Ruled by Mars, planet of sexuality, aggression, and energy output, Aries can be hasty or impatient, but assertiveness, ambition, and courage are positive sides of those traits. Aries is also a very direct sign that prefers straightforwardness and does not fear conflict. In general, they would rather get things done and sorted out than worry about the process or play the long game. So because Dounia has these 4 or more placements in Aries, that means that she has a stellium. A stellium is when you have 3+ planets in the same sign or house. So the Sun represents creativity and self-image. Mercury represents communication and logic, Venus represents love, beauty, and art, and Saturn represents discipline. So Dounia handles all of these things in an Aries way, or with confidence, ambition, and passion. Confidence is obviously such a huge part of the Dounia, model, the Dounia MO, the Dounia prerogative. It's such a huge part of who she is and how she expresses herself artistically. So I want to start with a couple examples of that in her music. So our first example is from Intro 2 on a song called Status. She starts it off with, I only get better, I only make moves. And then later in the song she says, I've got some rich taste with no funds to match, but they'll catch up and stack up at that, 'cause my flow ain't half bad. Take it back, fantastic. And then on the chorus, she says, I don't need status, still move like I have it, still feel real lavish. Dounia's confidence is an internal force, and nothing can really penetrate it. She knows that she's talented and that she'll be successful because of it. Now on the intro to the Avant Garden, King of Queens, she says, anyone with taste is my motherfucking market. So that's kind of a comment on her music and the fact that it is fire. I mean, you get it. And then on the opening track to the Scandal, Glass Walls, Dounia says, I'm living in my own world, making all the rules. I deserve peace. Yeah, I've paid my dues. I deserve bags like 10 feet tall. I deserve the crib with the all glass walls. And then she also says, you think that I'm pretty? Damn, you should see my soul, which I love. Just more of that confidence that applies to everything. And we also touch on some Aries independence as well at the beginning. Now from Popping in the Abyss, there's a song called In My Book, where Dounia says, nobody can make me fuck with myself less. Yes, that includes your dumb ass. So again, yeah, there's nothing you can do. She loves herself. And then our last example of that is from a single called Disrespectful. So the chorus and overall point of this song is, I'm just so good that it's disrespectful. She also says, want it, I'll get it, no hesitation. Yes, I'm the waviest for your information. And then also, hope you know there's not a soul that can make me jealous. Even if you've got a clone, alien antennas, which is such a funny line. This is just one of her best songs in my opinion. Now moving forward, before we get out of the Aries topic, I do want to talk about passion. This especially comes from her Aries Venus, because Venus represents art and romance, which are the two categories that will really see the most passion from Dounia. So the first example that comes to mind on this topic is a song called So Cool from Intro 2. Which is about, at the risk of sounding cliche, basically the things we do for love, right? What are we doing? What is my hair doing, though? So on verse 1, she says, she ain't cut out for your good time or your nightlife, but she down so she might try. She might conjure up a white lie for you. She just want to look a fun time to you. And then on the chorus, she says, hey, look, I'm so different. Watch me fight all of my instincts for you. I'm so cool. Watch how well I handle distance for you. And then the bridge is very passionate. I just want you to need me, darling. Come through just to see me, darling. I just want you to come undone now. Want to seduce the armor off now. So we talk about passion in a totally different way than we do normally in Dounia's music. Because this is the beginning of her discography, we still see her struggling to have the confidence and self-love that it takes to completely reject anyone that doesn't give the same level of love that we give them back. I think this song is really deep and really, really insightful and amazing. I think it's really important. And then the last line does touch on this kind of sexy passion too. And then the closing track on Intro 2 is called Shine, another one of my favorite songs by Dounia and overall. In this song, Dounia shows passion about her career. On verse 2, she says, I'm making shit that's honest, ain't a product for a profit. Yeah, my mind ain't on my wallet. You won't hear it less I wrote it. If it's whack, then I'll dispose it. The standard I'll be setting is the standard I'm upholding. And then on verse 3, she says, it ain't about the money, it's more about the pride. But I hope I make you proud still, mama. I hope I hold a Grammy up like a diploma. So yeah, passionate about her career, about her art form, about perfecting her work and releasing things that are genuine, not just money-grabbing radio hits. And in my opinion, Dounia's music is just as effective, if not in my opinion, way more. I think that she's the queen. But just as effective, at least, as a pop song on the radio that follows a familiar format. I don't know anyone that I've recommended Dounia to that didn't love her. I've never heard anyone say, it wasn't that good. I really think she has something for everyone. And I think that a big part of that is that it's all just so genuine. We see more love for her career on Specific, where she says, "Shorty trying to cuff, I'm too focused. Moving on passion, I'm never going through the motions. I don't do the most because I really got the sauce. Yeah, I really got the potion. I got a fetish for challenge deeper than a person." And then on the chorus, she also shows lots of ambition by saying, "By the time I'm done, I'll be the best who ever did it." Looking in the mirror, checking out the competition. And then we get back to the sexy side of passion on Geeked, where on verse 1 she says, "Fuck shallow incentives, I'll give you perspective. Peek into my heaven, baby, I could drive you senseless." And then, "Drop the act, I'm trying to see, I bet you're sexy when you're geeked." And then finally we have perhaps Dounia's sexiest song, "Love Showered." On verse 1, she opens it up with, "Lay your desires on the table. I want to see your vices. Let's get playful." And then on the chorus, she says, "Keep me blushing, love showered. Show me pleasure for hours. Beg me to eat up, devour, 'cause you're loving my power." So that's some big Aries Venus energy. You're loving my power. Like, there's nothing more Aries Venus. If someone told me that she was any other Venus sign besides Aries or maybe Scorpio, I would think they're lying. I mean, that's just the most Aries Venus thing I've ever heard. Moving down the chart from, finally, we're off the Aries. She's just got so much that, we have to make sure that we pound that in. We have her Capricorn Moon. Now, the moon represents our innermost emotions and intuition, and overall just how we are on the inside that people often don't get to see at first. Capricorn is a stable, dependable earth sign ruled by the disciplined planet of Saturn. And the moon, with its sensitivity, is in detriment in Capricorn, meaning it's in the sign opposite the sign that it rules. And this makes it not the most comfortable or natural placement for the moon to be in. So the moon rules Cancer, and Capricorn is the opposite. So people with Capricorn moon, because their moon is in detriment, can have trouble trusting people or themselves, or even allowing themselves to feel their emotions. On the bright side, however, it does help to balance emotions and help people to see the big picture in situations that perhaps otherwise they would be too emotionally involved to be able to do. This isn't really the biggest theme in Dounia's music, but you can definitely see that she has a very balanced and calm energy when you see her speak or on social media, and even in her music. Overall, she's just really not tripping in general, which isn't necessarily something all people with Capricorn moon would feel, but you can definitely see her emotions being balanced out and her ability to look at things subjectively. So we have no rising because we don't have a time of birth. If we do an updated version of this video, hopefully that will be here. But moving on from that, we also already talked about Mercury and Venus. So the next and final personal placement we're going to talk about today is Virgo Mars. Mars rules aggression, sexuality, and energy output. So a Mars in Virgo native will express their aggression and sexuality and spend their energy in a Virgo way. Virgo is an earth sign like Capricorn, so it is also stable and dependable. But Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, while Virgo is ruled by communicative, logical Mercury, making it an especially organized and rational earth sign. Virgo Mars is focused on how they spend energy, making them productive. And this definitely checks out. Dounia releases music so often, probably more frequently than any other artist that I listen to. She has no off season and certainly no off years so far in her music career. For example, in 2019, not counting features, Dounia dropped an EP, an album, and 7 other singles. And in 2020, she has so far released 23 singles and 2 EPs. So, yeah, wow. Just to get a little bit more detailed, In 2020, she released at least 2 songs a month from January to April, and then at least 4 songs a month from April to September, and she did not stop there. She is still dropping music. So she's definitely productive, maybe more so than, any other artist that I can really think of at this point. Virgo Mars can also give someone a sharp tongue. They express their aggression through communication. And Aries placements can also cause this, being such an aggressive sign. So the Mars in Virgo paired with the Aries Mercury really come together to create someone that's very capable of lashing out verbally. She'll hurt your feelings, like you don't want to make her mad. She'll hurt your feelings. And I do have some good examples of that. The first of which is from Shine, which we did discuss earlier from Intro 2. On this song, Dounia shows aggressive disdain for the state of the music industry at that time, and then admits that she doesn't drink because of her sharp tongue. She says, "I'm terribly offended. They're commending mediocrity. Are we honestly praising this commodity? You call yourself an artist. Stop, don't get me started." And then next, "Not much of a drinker because shit keeps spilling out, and I could hold my liquor, but I can't hold my mouth. I can't hold my tongue. It lashes when it wants. I'll blame it on the ambiance." Another example is on Avant Garden. At one point she says, "Love struck, bossed up, and I guess you just mad, huh? Shorty pressed, he ain't feeling her. Too bad, so sad. What's that got to do with me? I'm going hard in the stew. Drop a couple of bands. You're going hard for a dude that ain't even your man." Diff between me and you is just too substantial to get into. On the chorus, she also says, "You a cornball, and I'm avant-garde." And then on verse 2, she says, "You dick ride, and I cannot see the fun in it. That's why I'm popping off while you plummeting. If you a lame bit, that's out of my hands." So yeah, she's really spitting acid on this song. And then also on the Avant Garden is a song called Rich Girl Mood, which is featuring Kehlani. On the song, she says, "Yeah, she cute, but she not quite me. You think that you can compete? That's highly unlikely. Creatively bankrupt, let me fill your tank up." On a song from Natural Chaotic called Dunia's Destiny, she says, "You sound stupid not fucking with me. Sorry, sound dumb. Yes, I got a big mouth. Fuck it, still humble." On this song, Dounia can't even pretend to not know she's that bitch. And then the last example of her sharp tongue that I want to talk about is on a single called Spooky Season from Halloween Time 2019. She says, "Sometimes I feel so at peace. Sometimes I want to grab a bitch neck by my teeth. Sometimes violent thoughts when I sleep, like who that shorty thinks she is to disrespect me." So yeah. Dounia will hurt your feelings. The last planet that I want to discuss is Jupiter in Aquarius. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, good fortune, and optimism, and shows how the native can bring success and good fortune into their life. Aquarius is a lighthearted and communicative air sign, ruled by unconventional, progressive, humanitarian Uranus. So someone with Jupiter in Aquarius can get good fortune in unconventional or untraditional ways, or through humanitarian efforts. I find Dounia's career, formula, perspective, and music to all be very unconventional. We already discussed the sheer amount of music she releases, which in no doubt is very different from most artists, particularly mainstream artists. But that's sort of a big part of what makes Dounia so unconventional, is that she really doesn't go into the same boxes that the mainstream music industry encourages. She's extremely involved in the whole process of music making, often mixing and producing, painting the cover art, and crafting really her own genre of moody, deep-reaching, sexy, soulful bars. Being an independent artist really gives her the freedom to live her Aquarius Jupiter truth and really pave her own way in her career. Now, before we wrap up, I've just got a couple of aspects that I want to talk about. If you're not aware, aspects are lines created by two planets being a certain amount of degrees apart from each other, and they can be either harmonious or inharmonious. First, I want to talk about a couple of sextiles. Sextiles are a harmonious aspect that occurs when two planets are 60 degrees away from each other. Planets that are sextile one another have a good relationship and complement each other. So first of all, Dunia's Aries sun makes a sextile with her Aquarius Jupiter, both of which we've discussed already. Being that the sun represents self-image and Jupiter represents expansion and optimism, having sun sextile Jupiter makes an ambitious and confident personality. And these are two traits we've already talked about at length, so we don't have to go back over it. I'm just further highlighting the placements that play into that. Similarly, another sextile exists between Dunia's Aries sun and her Uranus, which is also in Aquarius. Uranus represents progress, humanitarianism, and unconventionality. So to have sun sextile Uranus makes someone unique and eccentric, which we also have already discussed. Uranus also rules Aquarius, meaning that because she has Uranus in Aquarius, she has that planet in dominion, and its power is boosted. The final sextile that I want to talk about is her Jupiter sextile Saturn aspect. With Jupiter representing optimism and Saturn discipline, Jupiter sextile Saturn gives a balanced and optimistic demeanor. Dounia is always posting on social media about spirituality, manifestation, positivity, and self-love, self-care, topics like that. And she has a relaxed, peaceful, and balanced attitude and inspires me, and I know many others, to worry less about other people and other things most of us get hung up on once in a while. We've also discussed balanced emotions quite a bit in the Capricorn Moon section before. The remaining aspect is a conjunction, which occurs when two planets are very near each other in the chart. These planets have very similar energies, which can be harmonious or harmonious, but generally it's a combination of both. So Dounia has Sun conjunct Saturn. We just discussed both planets, so I won't repeat, but this restriction and discipline attached to Dounia's self-image and creativity can mean that she had a childhood that involved restrictions. I won't pretend to know all of the ins and outs of Dounia's childhood or upbringing, but we do have some hints that this is true. First of all, we have one musical example that comes to mind, which is on Shine. I know we've discussed it a couple times. It's just a really important song. Dounia ends the third verse by saying, "I hope I make you proud still, mama. Hope I hold a Grammy up like a diploma. And when I do go to school, have my bread up. We've been in debt enough. We've been stressed enough." And this verse suggests strongly that Dounia's upbringing involved financial struggle. And anybody that grew up with any degree of financial struggle in their childhood definitely knows that this can be limiting and restricting in many ways. Even if you didn't grow up that way, you probably can recognize that. I also won't speak too heavily on this last bit because I'm not super educated on it, but it does come to mind and I think it's worth talking about. So Dounia was raised Muslim. She uses Islamic imagery and concepts in her lyrics a lot and discusses it on social media as well. And she has insinuated that this led to some degree of restriction in her self-expression. She's said that she wasn't really exposed to music during her childhood, and that her family wasn't exactly thrilled to learn that she is bisexual, for a couple examples. She does also definitely seem to see lots of beautiful and positive things about this religion. Otherwise, it really probably wouldn't be as symbolically referenced as it is in her music. But I feel like a lot of people that were raised very religious often acknowledge that that religion did limit certain ways that they were able to express themselves, especially when it comes to ways of life that aren't generally approved of in the religion. And that is where we're going to wrap up today. So thank you so much for being here and for watching this video. Please drop it a like if you liked it. And again, leave me a comment letting me know who you want to learn about next. And if you haven't yet, please press that subscribe button if you had a good time. Thank you so much. Have a good one.